The sound wasn't a tear, it was a scream of expensive silk, dying. District Attorney John Harris scrambled backward on the asphalt. His $3,000 suit ruined, his dignity gone. But as the fabric of his sleeve fell away, the warden didn't look at the blood. He looked at the old white ridges of scar tissue underneath. It wasn't a surgical mark, it was a receipt, a debt, 7 years overdue. And in that split second, staring at the arm of the man who put me here, the math finally added up. The monster wasn't the dog. The monster was wearing a tie. But to understand how a goodbye turned into a crime scene, you have to rewind 40 minutes. Last meal. It's a myth for the tourists. When you're an hour away from the needle, you don't want a steak. You want a time machine. Warden Thompson stood at my cell door. He looked like he'd slept in his uniform. We need an order, Miller. Kitchen's closing. I don't want food, I said. My voice sounded like grinding stones. I hadn't used it in days. I want Rex. Thompson paused. He tapped his pen against the clipboard. A German Shepherd in a Supermax unit is a liability. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But Thompson knew the truth about my file. Perfect behavior, 0 infractions. A man resigned to his fate. Yard 4, Thompson muttered, checking his watch. 15 minutes. Don't make me regret this. The yard was a concrete coffin with the lid off. The sky was the color of a bruised lung. I stood there, the wind cutting through my orange jumpsuit, shivering. Not from the cold, from the silence. Then, the heavy steel gate rolled back. It wasn't the dog that caught my eye first. It was the SUV. A blacked-out Cadillac Escalade parked on the access road. Idling, it gleamed like an oil slick against the gray prison walls. Leaning against the hood, checking a gold Rolex, was District Attorney John Harris. He looked bored. This was the man who had painted me as a butcher in front of a jury. He had wept fake tears during his closing statement. Now, he looked like he was waiting for an Ober. He wasn't here for justice. He was here to make sure the loose end was finally tied off. Eyes front, Miller, a guard grunted. Then I saw him. Rex. He was old now. The gray had taken over his muzzle, and his hips were stiff. He favored his right leg, the one that got smashed, the night my wife died. But when he saw me, those amber eyes locked on. I dropped to my knees. Rex, hey buddy. I waited for the lunge, the tail wag, the whimper. I got nothing. 10 feet away, Rex slammed on the brakes. His body went rigid, vibrating like a high-tension wire. A sound rolled out of his chest, a low tectonic rumble that I felt in the soles of my feet. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring past me, at the Cadillac. Harris pushed off the hood. He didn't look scared. He looked annoyed. Are we done with the Lassie reunion? He called out, his voice smooth, arrogant. Clock's ticking, Warden. Let's get the injection started, so I can beat the traffic. Rex's head snapped toward the voice. The growl stopped, and the silence that followed was worse. Control your animal, Harris sneered, stepping closer, or I'll have him put down, right after his owner. That was the trigger. Rex didn't bark, he detonated. The leash snapped out of the guard's sweaty grip, a blur of black and tan, violence. Harris didn't even have time to scream before 90 pounds of German Shepherd hit him, center mass. They hit the pavement. Rex didn't go for the throat. He went for the right arm. Get it off! Shoot it! Harris shrieked, his polished baritone cracking into a high-pitched squeal. Guards swarmed. Batons cracked. They dragged Rex back, choking him off the DA. But the damage was done. Harris sat up, hyperventilating, clutching his arm. The suit sleeve was in ribbons. I'm fine, Harris yelled, trying to cover his arm with his other hand. He was pale, too pale, just a scratch. Get that mud out of here. Wait, I said. The adrenaline hit me like a shot of pure oxygen. Sam, I shouted at the guard holding Rex. Look at his arm. It's a dog bite, inmate, Sam yelled back. We know. No, I pointed. Not the fresh one, the old one. Harris froze. He stopped trying to fix his suit and started trying to hide his skin, but it was too late. Thompson was already looking. 7 years ago, I said, the words tumbling out breathless. My wife's murder. Rex came home 2 days later, covered in blood. Police said it was her blood. They said he tried to stop me. I stepped toward the DA. The guards raised their rifles. I didn't care. He had blue fabric in his teeth, Harris. Blue silk. Just like that suit. He's delusional, Harris spat, scrambling to his feet. I fell off a bike. I broke my arm. It's in the medical records. Warden Thompson stepped into Harris's path. Actually, John, I remember that. You wore a cast for a month. Refused to let anyone sign it. So what? Harris snarled. I have rights. You can't. Sam, Thompson cut in, his voice dropping an octave. Call the prison infirmary. Get the state medical database access. Look up John Harris, trauma codes from 2017. You are overstepping, Warden, Harris warned. The boredom was gone. His eyes were darting toward the escalade. Speakerphone, Thompson ordered. The seconds stretched, thick with tension. Rex was still lunging against the choke collar, eyes fixed on Harris with pure, intelligent hate. The infirmary clerk's voice crackled over the radio. Records show an ER visit, November 14th, 2017. Lacerations to the right forearm. Notes say likely canine origin. Patient refused rabies protocol. Refused police report. Thompson looked up. Why didn't you report a stray dog, John? Harris didn't answer. He looked at the gate. Then he looked at the car. Open the trunk, Thompson said. This is an illegal search. Harris screamed, backing toward the driver's side door. I am the district attorney. I will bury you. You're on prison grounds, Thompson said, hand resting on his holster, which means you're in my house. Pop the trunk. The guard hit the release button. The hydraulic hiss sounded like a judgment. The trunk rose. There was no body, no shovel. Just 3 Louis Vuitton duffel bags, packed tight, and on top of them, a stack of passports. Going somewhere? Thompson asked. Harris turned to run, but 2 guards had him pinned against the hood before he could take a step. I walked toward the car. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I looked into the open duffel bag, stacks of cash. Hundreds, thousands, but tucked into the side pocket was something else. A simple yellow manila envelope. I reached in, my hands were shaking. I pulled it out. It wasn't money. It wasn't a confession. It was a flight itinerary. One way, for 2 passengers. 1 ticket was for John Harris. The other ticket was for a minor. I read the name on the second ticket and the world went black. Emily Miller. My daughter. He wasn't just fleeing the country. He was taking the only thing I had left. I was taking her to Europe, Harris stammered, his voice climbing an octave, sweat slicking his hairline. A study abroad program. I'm her godfather, for God's sake. This is a graduation gift. But Rex wasn't listening to the lies. He was listening to the instinct that had kept him alive for 7 years. The dog launched himself into the open trunk. He didn't go for the DA this time. He went for the luggage. With a savage shake of his head, Rex buried his teeth into the side pocket of a Louis Vuitton carry-on. The expensive leather screamed as it tore. Get that animal out of my property! Harris lunged, but 2 guards slammed him back against the hood of the SUV. Rex thrashed, ripping the bag open until something small and metallic flew out of the lining. It hit the asphalt with a hollow clink and skittered to a stop at Warden Thompson's boots. The yard went silent. Thompson bent down. He picked it up, a silver locket, tarnished by time, dangling from a broken chain. I stopped breathing. I knew that locket. I had bought it with my first paycheck as an engineer. It was supposed to be around my wife's neck when they buried her. The police report said it had been stolen by the burglar. Thompson popped the clasp. He looked at the photo inside, my wife, smiling, radiant, alive. Then he looked at Harris. You got sloppy, John, Thompson said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of a gavel strike. You told the jury a junkie broke in, panicked, and pawned everything. So tell me, why is the victim's most personal jewelry in your carry-on 7 years later? Harris opened his mouth, but the arrogant lawyer was gone. In his place, a trembling, pathetic man, staring into the abyss. It wasn't supposed to be like this, Harris whispered. Why do you have it? Thompson stepped closer, invading his space. Is it a trophy? Do you get off on keeping it? That was the crack in the dam. Harris crumbled. His knees gave out, and he slid down the front of his shiny black Escalade, landing in the dirt. He looked up at me, and for the first time, I didn't see a powerful district attorney. I saw a jealous, spurned college boy who never grew up. She wasn't supposed to be with you, Harris spat. The words wet with tears and rage. I offered her the world. I had the clerkship, the money, the Senate run. And she chose you? A boring minimum wage engineer? He laughed, a jagged, broken sound. I went there that night to beg her. Just one more chance. She laughed at me, Miller. She actually laughed. She said I was suffocating. She told me to get out. He looked at his hands, as if seeing the blood there all over again. I grabbed the knife from the counter. I didn't even think. I just I wanted her to stop laughing. He glared at Rex, who was watching him with cold, unblinking eyes. Then the beast came out of nowhere. Nearly took my arm off. I hit him with a statuette. I thought I killed him. I should have killed him. Get him out of my sight, Thompson ordered. As they dragged Harris away, screaming about mitigating circumstances and plea deals, I didn't feel triumph. I felt a heavy, numb shock. It wasn't a grand conspiracy. It was just a fragile man's ego, shattering 7 lives. Rex limped over to me. The rage was gone from his posture. He pressed his gray muzzle into my palm and let out a long, heavy sigh. He had held onto that hate for 2,555 days, just waiting for the chance to deliver the verdict. The release order came 3 hours later. It wasn't a slow process. When the DA confesses to murder in front of the warden of the state penitentiary, the wheels of justice turn, terrifyingly fast. An emergency writ from the governor's office, a vacated sentence. I walked out of the heavy steel gates, not as a number, but as a ghost, returning to the land of the living. The air smelled different out here. It smelled like gasoline, wet pavement, and freedom. Thompson shook my hand, a firm, apologetic grip, and promised the state would be writing a check with a lot of zeros. I didn't care about the money. I hailed a cab. Oak Hill Cemetery, I told the driver. The sun was setting by the time we found the marker. Simple granite, weathered by the seasons I had missed. Sarah Miller, beloved wife and mother. I placed a bouquet of supermarket white roses on the damp earth. Rex sat beside me, favoring his bad leg, ears perked forward as if listening for a voice he hadn't heard in years. "We did it, Sarah," I whispered, my voice finally breaking. It took a while, but we got him. The wind picked up, rustling the dead leaves around the graves. It felt like a caress. I looked down at the dog. People say animals don't understand revenge. They say they don't understand justice. They're wrong. Rex had carried the truth in his scars. He was the only witness who couldn't be bribed, intimidated, or lied to. But as I watched Rex rest his head on the cold granite of her grave, a chill went down my spine. And it had nothing to do with the autumn wind. Harris had the ticket for my daughter. He was going to take her. He was going to groom her, maybe even hurt her, just to finish erasing me from the world. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, the burner phone the warden had given me. I dialed my daughter's number for the first time in 7 years. It rang once, twice, then a click. "Hello?" a young woman's voice answered. She sounded just like Sarah. "Emily," I choked out. "It's Dad." There was a long silence on the other end. "Dad," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Where are you?" "Uncle John. Uncle John is supposed to pick me up in an hour. He said we have to leave now." I gripped the phone, my knuckles turning white. Harris wasn't just running. He had already set the trap. If Rex hadn't attacked that bag, if we had been 10 minutes later. "Listen to me carefully, Emily," I said, my eyes locking with the dog's intense stare. "Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone. I'm coming home."